From Variety, celebrating 121 years covering the business of entertainment, this is the Award Circuit Podcast. Stanley Tucci is Emmy nominated for Nat Geo's Tucci in Italy, but the star of stage and screen was nonetheless nervous at first about hosting a TV show.
I was very nervous when I first did it. I thought, what am I doing? I don't know how to do this. I know how to memorize lines. Or I know how to improvise, but with an actor, not with a normal person.
I'm Michael Schneider, and on this episode of the Variety Award Circuit Podcast, we talk to Tucci in Italy star Stanley Tucci about his love of Italy and his favorite region there, and where the show is going next. But first, on the roundtable, Gold Derby Editor-in-Chief Debra Birnbaum joins us to give her take on this year's Emmy race and why she thinks Widow's Bay holds all the momentum. It's all next on this edition of the Variety Award Circuit Podcast. Stay close.
Michael Schneider, Executive TV Editor at Variety.
Clayton Davis joins us now. He's the Chief Awards Editor of Variety.
Variety's Director of Features, Emily Longaretta.
Variety's Senior Artisans Editor, Jazz Tanke.
From Hollywood, it's Variety's Awards Circuit Podcast.
Hey everybody, it is the Roundtable. I'm your friendly host, Michael Schneider, over at Variety, and we have a special guest in the neighborhood this week. It's my former boss, who's now killing it over at the Gold Derby, the editor-in-chief of Gold Derby, Debra Birnbaum. Debra.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Things seem to be going very well, so congratulations on a fun Emmy season. It's always fun. It's always good. So.
It's always fun. We love an Emmy season. It's always fun. Thank you. Please don't jinx us. But, it's always, I think, when there's a surprise in the mix, when you've got a hit like Widow's Bay that comes out of nowhere, I think that's kind of what gets people excited and gets people talking, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
Yeah, well, let's get right into it, because Widow's Bay is probably the hottest piece of conversation at the moment in terms of how to predict this season in the comedy space. So where do you stand now in terms of, is Widow's Bay the big upset, or do you still see Hacks taking it home?
I'm going to go with Widow's Bay, and I'm going to make a bold move and a bold prediction here. I think there's something to be said for momentum. And this is nothing against Hacks. I think Hacks had a great season finale. It went out at the top of its game. And I think Jean Smart can make room on her shelf for the next Emmy. She absolutely deserves it. Nothing is upsetting Jean Smart. But I think that, when you go around and cover events, as I know you do, as I do, Widow's Bay is the show that everyone's talking about. And it's one of those shows, like, people who don't even work on the show are talking about Widow's Bay. It's kind of got that thing, that big momentum that we always talk about when you cover this. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm a Hacks homer, but it's the final season, 25 or 24 nominations, and then that 25th, of course, we know is very short. But I do see your point. Something that's been pointed out to me by the fine folks at Apple, so, take this with a grain of salt, but they were kind of on the other end of this, back when Severance seemed to be the front runner for drama. And then along came a little show called The Pit that suddenly got all the momentum and took all the conversation. And so Severance, which seemed to be on the road to getting a drama series win, suddenly had to cede to The Pit. Now it seems like that's maybe the case with Widow's Bay. But what about the question of, is Widow's Bay a comedy? Do you think that comes into play at all? Do you think maybe that's what, HBO Max should be kind of seeding out there with folks, that it's this year's The Bear? Like, how much of that show really is a comedy?
I don't know that it's as egregious as The Bear is or was, or as that debate is. There are moments when you watch Widow's Bay and you do laugh. You really do. You look at Matthew Rhys's face and some of the stuff that happens, and it does give you a chuckle. Whereas that's never an experience I've had watching The Bear, as I used to call the least funny comedy on television. So I hear you. I just don't know that has enough of that campaign, not to use the word momentum again, but that kind of has enough urgency behind it that it's going to dispel any of that. But I think if, not to go back to this argument about, like, people who work in the industry, they've worked with Katie, they've worked with Hero. It is so much auspices behind it that it's just, when you look down the ballot and you think of all the categories where it's nominated, when it's going to get that kind of support, who knows? I wouldn't be surprised if Hacks wins, and it absolutely deserves to win, and there's nothing against Hacks. But it just feels like Widow's Bay kind of has that thing where it's just people really respect it and really respect the writing and the making of it in a really tremendous way. And I think there could be upsets when you look at some of the, the acting categories down the ballot. And so that's where I kind of think like, when we're sitting there in the press room on Emmy night and you're starting to look at some of those craft categories one by one, I kind of think that Widow's Bay may take some of those.
Yeah, no, it does. It has that feeling. I can already see us sitting there in that back room and starting to see Matthew Rhys, clearly front runner now to win the Best Actor Emmy, and I would not be shocked if the Widow's Bay folks ended up pulling it off. It's rare to begin with for a show in its final season to do as well as Hacks did with the nominations. I mean, clearly they made history with the most nominations ever for a comedy. But there's also that element of, well, the show's over. And sometimes people sort of like, well, it had its moment. It won its Emmys. What's next? So I'll be curious where voters are feeling when they start voting in a couple of weeks, which, we're almost already there. So
right. And the way that, Widow's Bay, I don't know that Apple TV, if you ask them in their heart of hearts, thought that this was their big Emmy contender. I don't know that they, I think even they would have to admit that. That being said, but the way that it sort of went over the May 31st deadline, the way it extended into the season so that it's going to carry forth, that it's going to be the, season 2, they're already back in the writer's room for it. We know that Jean Smart is going to win that Emmy. So I feel like there's a way then voters are looking at their ballots. They're going to be like, yes, we're going to anoint Jean Smart. She's going to make history. She's going to get that at next Emmy. This is a way of anointing the next big contender. And we know the TV Academy gets a bad rap for, awarding the same shows year after year. This is an opportunity of crowning the next, I'm going to say comedy king, but all right, horror comedy king.
Yeah, whatever genre.
And so to go back to your question, whatever the genre is. But if you think about that, there really are some funny moments in the show. So look, who knows what'll happen? But look, I'm excited that it's giving us something else to talk about. In the season when we started covering it, we were like, oh God, here we go, another boring season. I think here we got something to talk about, and it's not whatever it is. It's not a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, and that's what we want, because on the drama side, it is pretty much a foregone conclusion. So there's a little less excitement there.
It's going to be Noah Wyle. Yes, I don't think there's any upset happening there. No, nothing happening there for sure.
No, I think the best thing. Yeah, the best thing we're going to get is Ray Seahorn for Pluribus as Best Actress. Is that how we feeling there? I'm feeling pretty good about that. Speaking of people sort of wanting to award something new that we're talking about a lot, and that's how Pluribus is going to get its first Emmy. And then we'll wait and see when that show comes back. It may be years.
I know, Vince, write faster. Vince, we love you. We love you. We adore you. You're one of the best. You're one of a kind. Please write faster. Please.
I know. Every time I think Vince is doing another event, and I'm like, just the other day, like, no more panels. Vince,
no,
we're going to lock the door and just, force him to finish that. It's like the George R.R. Martin situation of, we've given up on that book ever coming out, but I'm confident we'll get some more Pluribus sometime soon. So
exactly, and I'm more than happy. Like, I want Ray to get that Emmy. No one deserves it more than she does. But Vince, please, we need a season 2 of Pluribus.
Yeah,
and this is nothing against the Pit. The Pit does a great job, and I think they have done such a smart campaign in owning their narrative and owning the coverage of medical issues and healthcare issues and bringing production back to LA. It's all so good. So this is nothing against the Pit, and no one show should own the narrative. We want all shows to succeed. So I like that. We can give some love to Pluribus and we can give some love to the Pit.
Yeah. Well, the other thing about the comedy race in Widow's Bay sort of taking sort of the narrative was, remember, this was the year that Shrinking was going to be the show that was the closest to, maybe competing with Hacks for that comedy Emmy. And I mean, it's good for Apple TV to have, another contender, but you got to feel for our friends over at Shrinking. They thought this was maybe their year.
But maybe Harrison. Harrison seems
Yeah.
well positioned to get it, right?
Yeah, I think that's a real good possibility. And I mean, again, no one deserves it more than Harrison. The work that he's doing on that show, again, the best work possibly of his entire career on Shrinking. So hopefully that means like there's enough love to go around for all these shows. And
for sure. And exactly. I mean, look, as you said, like this keeps it exciting for us, and like who knows where these races were going to shake out. I think the most surprising thing for me this year is the limited series race, and I'm curious to get your take on it because, you know, in years past, it's been the most creatively excellent category. And that, again, I'm not trying to disparage any of this year's contenders, but, you know, every year it's been like these, you know, this really high bar, all of these great shows. And again, we've got great contenders this year. Again, I'm not trying to disparage any of them, but it sort of feels like, okay, you know, I don't know what you're predicting to win. I'm assuming it's going to be Beef.
Yeah, I'm thinking Beef, but, you know, DTF St. Louis is a dark horse there because it is, you know, a little more of a feel-good show, even though it's kind of tragic. But
feel
there's
good.
I mean, when you
okay?
see, I mean, yeah, maybe not the ending, but I still always think about the scene of David Harbour, you know, doing the sign language to the Troye Sivan concert, and there's just there are
right.
sort of those quirky, fun, touching moments in that show that I think really appeal to people, and like David Harbour is doing a really good job. Somehow, despite everything that he's been through over the past year, he is out there, he is campaigning, he's
working it.
He has turned around the narrative of David Harbour in a year, which is pretty like that. There should be a case study there done, and you know, damage control and what he's managed to accomplish.
Yes,
but yeah, I think
is there
I
an
think
Emmy for that?
Maybe it's a Publicist Guild Award. I don't know what you do there, but
right.
But I do feel like Beef is really working hard. I'm seeing a lot more, you know, they're doing a big event next week throughout Los Angeles where it's like Wellness Week, you get all sorts of free stuff. And it's a known title. So I do feel like DTF was starting to really challenge them, but it does feel like Beef is kind of back in the driver's seat again. So,
right.
So I don't know.
And I'm surprised about Love Story. I mean, I thought that like the popularity of Love Story would kind of propel it to more kind of momentum. You know, I thought we'd be talking about it more in these categories. I thought there were some great performances, especially among the supporting cast. But it was sort of interesting to see that, you know, Paul Anthony Kelly was just, you know, sorry, John, you just didn't make the cut. It was such an interesting snub.
Yeah. And once that happened, I mean, that and of course the half man snub, which still shocks me. You know, I kind of get it, but at the same time, that felt like one of those just like automatically grandfathered in. You give that show a nomination, even if you didn't watch it, which, you know, Half Man was a tough watch. And so I think a lot of people probably didn't watch beyond the first couple of episodes, but, you know, Richard Gadd still got in, but you know, a little shocking that one didn't go the distance. Although, again, I understand it. People are probably just wanting a little more uplift. They want some, you know, something that they can watch all the way through and feel good about. So, speaking of the limited categories, you know, the controversy over moving some of the categories, including those supporting categories, to what used to be known as the Creative Arts Emmys. Honestly, the controversy has died down. I think this is exactly what the TV Academy was sort of hoping for, wanting that in this day and age. I think they thought that, yeah, they would ruffle some feathers, but given the gravity of a lot of things going on in the world, this isn't the biggest thing in the world to sort of really spend your time on debating and challenging the Academy and all that. And so I think they smartly just didn't do anything, didn't say anything. The guilds came out with their one statement about how disappointed they were. And then they didn't do anything else. So it looks like this is going to happen. Normally the Academy folds at this point and they end up putting those categories back in the main telecast. This year, though, it seems like they're going to try it. They're going to try something different. What do you think?
I know, same thing. I kind of expected, as you did, that the uproar would be so loud and noisy that they would ultimately have to fold, as they do on everything. Remember when they were going to split the nominations into 2 days, and then they had to fold on that? That was fun for a while.
That was a good time.
That was a good time. Memories. Yeah, I was really surprised because I don't think it's a good idea. I don't, but no one cares what I think. And again, like, what do we call it? Night 1 and night 2, and then night 3. Like, what do we call these early award shows? It's like,
that's exactly what they're doing. Yeah.
Yes. Night 1, night 2, and then the other awards.
And then the big one.
But yes. And then the big one. Fine. Sure. What I don't, I guess, sure. I mean, there is a problem. There are too many Emmys. It's hard to produce a show. I'm sympathetic with their problems. The problem is I don't think the solution matches the issues, because if you think about what they're trying to solve for, they're solving for presenting however many variety show winners we're going to have. Because, because they haven't really solved for the variety show problem, which is basically a yes or no vote, which I think everyone is still confused by, because basically it's not like one variety show winner. It's basically like, do you think John Oliver deserves to win the variety show? Yes or no? Do you think Saturday Night Live deserves to win the variety show? And so however many of those get a yes or no vote, however many of those 5 nominees, those were all going to be presented in, I guess, what we're calling the primetime show. Yeah. So they had to make room for all of those. So great, okay. So and then whatever, the Mariska hosted show is going to end up being for all of, so they're squeezing out acting performances and writing and directing to make room for that, which just sort of seems unfair. But again, okay. So I guess what will end up happening is these shows will play out as they're going to play out. And then everyone's going to Monday morning quarterback the decision once we see what the show ends up being.
Yeah. A lot of that is, it's on Jesse Collins and his team to, prove the Academy that they needed more time for more entertainment, whatever that means. If they can squeeze anything in after they give out 5 variety series Emmys, but I think they're hoping to do more musical performances or comedy bits or give more time to speeches. We'll see. And whatever shtick they're going to do with Mariska. So
right. It's just it's a weird decision to make on a night when you don't, and I love Mariska, but she's not and I'm sure they're going to support her. I think she's going to be an amazing host because I think she's very popular. She's an NBC stalwart. This is not to, question her ability to host at all. They obviously have every confidence in her ability to host. So we'll end up seeing what this show ends up being. But it's going to be interesting to see. And I more than anything, I feel bad for the people who are losing their moment in the spotlight because the night 1 and night 2 shows don't have red carpets. They're not televised. So it's it's sort of a different experience. So it's like a sort of womp womp, you won your Emmy. And then how are they going to then honor those people that?
Yeah. I'm sure they'll have some sort of they'll put a camera on them or who knows what, or maybe they'll show excerpts from their speeches. I'm sure they're probably still figuring that out. But yeah, I think if they were going to do this, they probably should have brought back the red carpets to the Creative Arts Emmys, or I'm sorry, night 1 and night 2, because they always did that right. pre-pandemic. So it's strange that they haven't, but I mean, we'll see. I'm going to give them a year. It's because they need to shake things up. They need to do something different. So let's give them a chance to prove us right or wrong. And then we'll see who's even carrying the Emmys next year. Maybe you'll be on this podcast.
I was going to say, Mike, are you available to host Riverside? Here we come.
Always. Yeah, no, I've been on the record saying I think they need to do the simulcast. They just need to do a deal with every network, every platform, airs it all at the same time. And so that day you can't escape the Emmys. If you're watching TV, the Emmys are on. And that's the best way to try to keep this franchise going.
I think you're right. It's the only solution because the wheel doesn't work anymore. It's getting silly at this point. It doesn't make sense for the broadcast networks to rotate it. it doesn't make sense for any one streaming platform to do it. It just needs to just be a shared deal among everybody, because otherwise everyone has a vested interest in it. They have their thumb on the scale. So what's the point?
Yeah, and if everyone sort of gives their fair share to the license fee, then no one's spending too much money, but they're supporting the TV Academy and supporting the Emmys, and it's fair.
Yeah, exactly. And
So
no
we
one wants
shall
to
see.
see it go away. Everyone has a
No.
vested interest in it succeeding. We want it to work. We want to watch it. And there have been great shows. There have been great moments. We want to see great people win. We want to see great speeches. So let's, all work together. Who's negotiating this deal? Mike, get in there. Make it happen.
I'm trying. And maybe they'll save the daytime Emmys too. Who knows? Now that it's going to be one Academy again.
Right, you're right. Exactly. Now there's one big Academy.
Yeah, it's bring back the daytime Emmys. All right, so Deborah, I'm going to see you at the Televerse this coming
You will see
weekend.
me at the Televerse. Yes. Will you be there?
I will be there too. We'll be televersing it up. Very.
Cannot wait. All Emmys all the time, Mike.
All Emmys all the time. Well, Deborah, thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you at the Televerse.
See you at the Televerse. Thanks, Mike.
After the break, Stanley Tucci already has 3 Emmys for his previous show, Stanley Tucci Searching for Italy. Now he's nominated again, an outstanding hosted nonfiction series or special for Nat Geo's Tucci in Italy. We talk to him next. From Los Angeles, this is the Variety Award Circuit Podcast. And we're back. It's the Variety Award Circuit Podcast. I am here with, can we call you the Tooch? Is that allowed, Stanley Tucci?
If you want to, sure.
How often do people request permission to call you the Tooch?
Very seldom.
Okay. They just say it behind your back.
No, that's what my dad was called in when he was young, Tooch, and I was called that too. Not the Tooch.
The Tooch. Somehow we added a the to it. It sounds it
sounds much better. Yeah, bigger.
It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. Yeah. Well, thanks for getting returning to the podcast, because congratulations on your Emmy nomination.
Thank you.
For Tucci in Italy season 2, now streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu. I'm required to say that, I think, contractually.
Yes, I guess.
But last time I talked to you was at a panel for this, and it was the same weekend that Devil Wears Prada 2 came out. So it was a Tooch weekend that weekend.
Yeah. Yes, that was a lot we were doing for the Devil Wears Prada, for the Italy thing. There was a lot happening all at once.
But that's always a good thing, right? I mean,
it's better than the opposite.
How would you describe where you are right now in your career, in that you're getting to do TV shows you want to do? You've got an iconic character on a kind of iconic movie franchise. Is it primo time to be the Tooch?
I guess. I don't know. I mean, I'm really happy about having a lot to do. And yet, at the same time, at the age of almost 66, I think, how long can I do this? There's a part of me that wants to, spend more time at home. And so I'm trying to orchestrate things so that I can do that, without compromising my career, because there are still things I want to do, stories I want to tell, movies I want to make, plays I want to direct. So yeah, it's that balance, that finding that correct balance.
Well, I feel like with Tucci in Italy, that sort of allows you to showcase your love for Italy, spend some time in Italy, and then also make a TV show. And why not? And write this off. It feels like the perfect thing. Looking from the outside in, this is the dream job. So what was sort of the impetus of Tucci in Italy?
Well, the impetus, I came up with the idea about 20 years ago, and I had always wanted to go through Italy and break break it down region by region, and really look at it as a whole, but also each region through the prism of food. And I'd never seen a show like that. So this is 20 years ago now. I brought it up to a few people, and everyone looked at me like I was crazy. And then 7 years ago, CNN came to me and said, "Do you have any ideas for a show?" And I did. I had two other ideas. One was about refugees and food, and the other was about cancer. The finding a balance between standard of care and alternative treatment. And no one seemed very keen on either of those. So, and then I said, "Oh, I want to go through Italy and break it down, region by region." They went, "Okay." So that was basically the way it worked.
Yeah.
But for me, Italy is such a complex country, and if you're in Lampedusa, which is an island off of the coast of Sicily, you're 70 miles away from Africa. And when you're up in Trentino Alto Adige, you're in the Alps and the Dolomites, and everybody's speaking German, and you're still in Italy.
Yeah.
Same country. I mean, that's kind of amazing for really not a huge landmass, if you think about it.
Yeah.
And because it's so uniquely positioned geographically, the influx of cultural of so many different cultures and their food couldn't help but end up there. So they were invaded for thousands of years, controlled by the Spanish, the Normans, the French, the Moors, and it created this really complex country in every way. And I just think that's really interesting. And the food is so distinctly different in let's say Sicily or Calabria or wherever than Trentino Alto Adige or Lombardy.
Yeah.
Totally different. The way you build your house is different.
So is there a specific region that you think is underrated, or a place that, when I'm sure everyone now asks you where to go and what would surprise them? You've become now a tour guide for all of your friends, I'm sure. What's your go-to? Like, no one knows about this place, or this is underrated, you're going to love it.
I think Le Marche is a really beautiful region, which is right next to Tuscany. And I shouldn't even be saying this because I know that people will go to it, which sounds terrible. But it is a really, really beautiful region, and it's not packed with huge number of tourists.
Well, we'll be now that you've brought it up.
Yeah. The seaside is really pretty. The food is absolutely wonderful, and it's not crazy expensive. But it's gorgeous.
Do you find it humorous that Italy generally is the go-to place when people dream of escaping, of buying a villa in a tiny village? It's always Italy. It's always under the Tuscan sun. Does that amuse you? Or do you think we should all be doing it? Maybe we all should be moving to Italy.
No, I think that I think it's amazing, and it is beautiful, and you can have that, and you can have that dream and realize that dream. But it's not easy to do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bureaucracy, and Italian bureaucracy moves very slowly. And Italy is a very personal country. Things are done with people that everybody kind of knows each other in this one little area, and then you go outside of that area and you're like, well, you really can't use that guy. You got to use the guy in the area, and you're not quite sure why, but it's probably best if you do.
Yeah.
So, um, I I think that that dream is amazing. I've never done it. I don't think I will do it because I love Italy, but I don't want that responsibility of having that having that house that far away.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you do have the leg up in that you speak the language, and that's one of my favorite parts, of course, in Tucci in Italy is whenever you do break out the Italian and effortlessly, at least it seems to me as an
No, yeah,
outsider,
it seems to you because you don't speak Italian,
right?
but to me, yeah, no, it's rather clumsy, my Italian, but I edit around that.
So all the pauses, the ums and ahs are left out. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
it looks beautiful the way you go
Oh,
back
thank
and
you.
forth.
Thank
So
you. Well, we have Matt Ball, who's the, cameraman, cinematographer, and who was nominated this year and last year, and he's just amazing. Sort of makes it look beautiful effortlessly.
yeah, I mean, and obviously that's a big part of the show too, is it just looks beautiful, and some of
Yeah,
the shots that you guys take are cinematic, and
yeah,
as an actor, that's I'm sure something you were looking for was
yeah,
looking at the framing and how the show looks in
yeah,
addition to what it
exactly.
says.
It's a big thing for me, the choosing the lenses and what's going to go into the kit and what lenses are going to be there because there's we have limited number of stuff that we can carry with us. So you have to make sure you have the right lenses to do what you need to do, but still, create a sense of a sense of cinema.
What and for you, what is hosting like? What are the different muscles that it takes to host versus being an actor or a director?
It's similar, I suppose, in the way that you really have to listen, and if you're not listening, it's not going to work, right? So
Hmm.
the scene, if you're not listening in the scene and responding truthfully, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Be acting by yourself, and we see this very often. It's the same when you're interviewing someone. You just have to listen, but you have to really engage. And some people are easier than others because they're not afraid. But a lot of people might get quite nervous and sort of shut down. And you have to kind of coax them out of their shell. But I think also the thing is, in every story that we tell, there are these sort of bullet points which is why we've chosen that story, whatever it is. The person's history, why they make that dish. There was a really interesting story about a blah, blah, blah that they told our researchers. But a lot of times, I have found on with people who have made documentaries before, they'll want to the producers that will bring in, they'll as I'm having the conversation with the person, they'll want to interrupt and say, "Oh, you didn't ask him about this, and he said this thing. Can he say that thing?" And I go, "No, no, we're just going to have a conversation. I know what we have to get to, and we'll get there. It's going to take a little bit longer, but we'll get there."
Yeah.
And what that does for me is it just lets the person just talk. And then at the end, when we get what we need, I'll look to the researcher, producer, and say, "Did we get everything?" And they say, "Well, there was this one point about blah blah blah," and then I'll go back and ask the question. Or if I think we have it or we don't need it, then we don't do it. I just want the people to be comfortable and natural.
Yeah, yeah. And I bet food sort of as the universal language helps too. When you're surrounded by food, you're talking about food, there is that element of comfort that maybe allows people to feel like they can open up a little bit more.
No, it's true, especially if you're in their surroundings, they're more comfortable. And that's why we try to keep it as informal as possible. And you might end up shooting in a kitchen. You're like, how the hell are we going to shoot in this kitchen? But you do it because it's the best way to show that person and tell that story.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's now that you've been doing it for a while, how has your comfort level changed, and how do
Oh
you
yeah.
feel you've grown as a host and as a listener, and in sort of figuring out what should be in the show?
I feel much more comfortable with it. I was very nervous when I first did it. I thought, what am I doing? I don't know how to do this. Um, I know how to, you know, I know how to memorize lines, or I know how to improvise, but with an actor, not with a person, like a lay person or a normal person. But now I'm much better at it, and I feel more comfortable. And no, it really is for me. It's like a great honor to meet so many of these people because they're just extraordinary. Their devotion to what they do um, is amazing. Chefs and home cooks alike, or farmers, or um, you know, cheesemakers. I mean, it's their whole life is invested into this one thing. And as someone who's very sort of peripatetic, and you're an actor, you never, as an actor, you're never really committed to doing anything. Do you know what I mean? You're acting,
Yeah.
and that's the commitment. But it takes you everywhere, and But this singular focus is really so impressive to me. And I'm filming now in England. I'm doing the British Isles, and to you know work to go interview people who they make pork pies, right? That's what
Hmm.
they make pork pies. Now they have a butchery, but this one woman makes the pork pies. And it's a painstaking process, but they are absolutely delicious. And if she were to stop making those pork pies in that way, excuse me, hundreds of years of tradition would disappear. And
Yeah.
it's kind of amazing that people in this day and age stick to it.
Wait, so are you doing a new season in the UK? Is that what?
Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're doing yeah, I wanted to do the UK because I just feel like there's so much here. I've been here for almost 15 years now. And London was just voted the best food destination in the world.
Yeah.
It is amazing, but I'm not just talking about fancy restaurants and all that. I'm talking about the UK as a whole. I think that the produce that's here, the seafood that's here, the meat that's here, the devoted people like that woman, or these fishermen or lobstermen, or a guy who raises pigs that will be like the best pork you'll ever eat. That kind of stuff is amazing. And then like a really amazing chefs, chefs that again are devoted to farm to table or farm to fork, I guess is the new expression. It
Yeah.
just gets a little bit closer to the mouth.
Exactly. Just farm to
Yeah.
mouth. Yeah, they should just.
Farm to mouth, which
Yeah.
is disgusting. But but I think that kind of I'm always fascinated by what people do for a living and why they do that thing. And then and especially if it's especially if it comes out of a passion and a real kind of clarity of vision. Like, this is how I'm going to live my life. This is what I love. I love pigs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love pig, or I love fish. I love digging. I love planting. And it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I'm sure you can see it in your passion for theater, for example, and the years that you put into it. I'm
Yeah.
sure, this is still so personal to you. in, sort of relating your experiences on the show and seeing this side of Stanley Tucci on this series has also been fun for viewers. And I'm sure that was an adjustment for you to show this personal side of yourself too on
Yeah,
camera.
that's the kind of weird part of it is that I never really, unless you're at doing an interview or something for, press or whatever, you're never showing yourself. And so it was a big adjustment. There was always that mask and now, strangely enough, maybe not strangely enough, now when I'm acting, I'm like, why am I wearing somebody else's clothes? Or why am I pretending to be this person? I think I'd rather just be myself. And that's weird. I never thought I would feel that way. I still love it, but I have found this kind of, I don't know, sort of comfort with being myself that I never had before.
You're one step away now from reality TV.
Oh God, no.
Meet the
Okay.
Tooch on Bravo coming soon.
Okay, I'm all right.
So, Stanley, one thing we've been doing on this podcast is finding the first time that our guests appeared in the pages of Variety. And
Yeah.
so I found your very first appearance in Variety. It was on October 6, 1982.
Jesus.
It was a review of Broadway's The Queen and the Rebels. You were listed as one of the Travelers' soldiers, along with Campbell Scott and a bunch of others. You remember that time, 1982?
Yeah, I just graduated from college. Yeah.
What do you remember about your hopes and dreams and being on Broadway at the time? What was Stanley Tucci
Well,
like
I
in
felt very
1982?
lucky. I felt very lucky. I mean, I grew up with Campbell, and his mom was doing the play, and she cast us. He had one more year of university to do, I think. So, and we were doing the play in the summer. So it was amazing for me. Well, I understudied a role, and we were cast as sort of, extras for all practical purposes. And it was great because it got me my equity card and health insurance. And that made a big difference.
Yeah, I bet.
And I was paid $550 a week, and I was in heaven. I thought this is the greatest thing ever. So to have that right out of university, and I got an agent. So I had all those things right out of college, SUNY at Purchase, and so that's a huge thing for an actor, starting their career.
Yeah, and it's fun to sort of going through our archives, seeing like throughout the 80s as your name moved up the roster, and then eventually you're mentioned in the reviews, and
That's right.
it's it's interesting chronicle of your career in the pages of Daily Variety.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I bet. Yeah, I bet. I don't know if I want to look at
not not ready to go down memory lane just yet.
Maybe not yet. Yeah.
There's time for that.
My mom, she was so good. My mom and dad, I still have these, photo albums, and they would collect all the clippings over the years. And I think I still have a few of them. I have them in storage, before the internet, before everything was digital and you just saved it on your phone or whatever. But, scraps of paper and reviews and photographs and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. No, that
Really
stuff
nice.
that
Really
stuff
nice.
is cool. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
fun
I
to,
feel very happy that they did that.
yeah. No, that's very cool. One more thing, Stanley. We've got our 10 questions now for you. So we're going to run down the list, whatever comes to mind first. Our first question, honestly, I feel like we kind of mentioned at the start of this interview, but what was your childhood nickname?
Tooch.
Yep. What was something you loved as a kid and in hindsight, kind of can't believe you're into it now?
Velveeta.
Velveeta. I like that we're going the food route in all of this.
Yeah.
Do you have a, go-to karaoke or sing in the shower song?
Oh, well, you don't want to hear me sing. If you'll notice in those reviews you spoke of, there's not a single musical in them. In a 45-year long career, and there's not a musical, you understand why.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I sing in the shower, thinking I'm brilliant. Something like Our Love Is Here to Stay, which is a song that I always sang to my kids when they go to sleep.
Very nice. Or give me an alternative title for Tucci in Italy.
Oh God, you don't know how long it took us to come up with the simplest title in the world.
Yeah, what was the backup?
What was the backup? Oh
Ro
God, so
Ro
many that were terrible.
Roaming with Tucci? Was that, is
Yeah,
that
Tucci Eats Italy. Just bad, just bad. Anyway, you have to work that one out yourself, I guess.
that's what focus groups are for, I guess.
Yeah. Ugh.
What is your secret talent?
My secret talent?
Yeah.
I suppose I would say drawing and painting.
Okay. Not so secret though, right?
Not so secret. A little bit.
But definite talent.
Yeah.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
I don't really eat ice cream.
No?
I would say if I had to say, it would be just like a chocolate. It's so boring. I don't eat ice cream. I'm so sorry.
Gelato? No?
Gelato, yeah, I like lemon.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the one item you couldn't live without?
Item?
Yes.
Not a food item.
Any item.
Any item.
Yeah.
A knife that I have. I know that sounds scary, doesn't it?
Exactly. Was not expecting that, but
no, it's a chef's knife.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds more reasonable.
Yeah.
What TV show in all of history do you wish you had been a cast member on?
Oh my. Oh God, that's a really interesting question. There are so many. I watched a lot of TV when I was a kid, but you know what show I loved, which when you look back on it, you're like, oh my God, was The Wild Wild West.
Mm.
Do you remember that show?
Yeah. During the age of the Western. Yeah. Do you have a fictional character from literature or the films or television or anywhere that you most relate to or admire?
A fictional character.
Yeah. Maybe one you've played.
Yeah, I really loved doing Captain America. I did it like 15, 16 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of the best work experiences I've ever had. And I absolutely loved playing that role. Even though when I was sent the script, it said, a German scientist in his 70s. And I was 50. I was like, oh man, come on. But it was so well written. And I just loved it. I just watched it again with my kids the other day. They wanted to watch it.
All right. Final question. Your favorite personal or best piece of advice either you've given or someone's given you. Could be about anything.
There are two. May I say two?
Sure.
The first one is my acting teacher, George Morrison, who passed away a number of years ago, who was brilliant, was go beyond what's comfortable. And the second one is that the undoing of something is as important as the doing of it.
The words and wisdom of
and that was from my father told me that.
Yeah.
And Giacometti also said that. Alberto Giacometti.
Yeah. All right. Well, Mr. Tucci, a pleasure. I'm looking forward to seeing you traveling around the UK next.
Oh, yeah.
We'll slowly get to every country.
We'll see it next year. Yeah.
It's going to take some time, but I'm looking forward to it. So
yeah. Thank you so much. It's really nice to chat with you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a great one. Thanks, man.
All right. You too.
That's Tucci in Italy star Stanley Tucci. His Nat Geo series is nominated this year for Outstanding Hosted Nonfiction Series or Special. And that's it for this edition of Variety's Award Circuit Podcast. If you've got questions for the Award Circuit Podcast Roundtable, drop us a line at the Emmy Emergency Hotline, 323-617-9110, and you may appear on a future episode. Be sure to subscribe to the Award Circuit Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you download podcasts. Also, head on over to Variety.com and click on the Award Circuit tab to find the latest awards predictions and key races, as well as your daily fix of news, analysis, and reviews. For Jazz Tanke, Emily Longaretta, and Clayton Davis, I'm Michael Schneider, and we'll see you on the circuit.